Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bite-Sized Review. This is your home for reviews and opinions on the super niche, obscure, sometimes outright awful games on the Nintendo Switch. With that out of the way, here's our host, Sean Ryan.
Hello, everyone. This is Bite-Sized Review. Welcome to episode 1. For this review, we will be tackling Toby, the Secret Mine, a single-player game developed by Lucas Nevertle and published by Head Up Games. A quick warning, there will be spoilers for both this game and Limbo by Playdead. Toby the Secret Mine is a side-scrolling platform puzzler set in a bleak world inhabited by shadowy creatures that have kidnapped other members of your tribe. It's up to Toby to set out and rescue all 26 of his friends. The game starts with Toby surrounded by trees with nothing else to do other than move forward. In just a few moments we encounter an enemy, a larger version of Toby but with glowing red eyes. Chasing after him, we come to our first trap and puzzle, where our crimson-eyed counterpart dropped a large stone, collapsing the ground under Toby. Continuing to push right, there's a plank that will eventually fall, revealing a small tunnel that we can move through and rescue one of his friends that has been caged. We will see several of these areas that are initially hidden from view that are either a component to a puzzle or a secret area with more friends to be found. Moving further into the level, we don't get a tutorial beyond learning that the B button is used to interact with the environment. The game has a very minimal hand-holding aspect to it, and I enjoyed that. I'd already ran into an enemy, solved a very basic puzzle, rescued a friend, and then I was shown how to manipulate objects. This tells me as the player that there will be a lot more puzzles that require more of me than simply pushing objects around. Clearly inspired by Limbo, unfortunately Toby the Secret Mine doesn't do much that Limbo hasn't already done, and done better. Both games start you off with no dialogue, text, or any sort of explanation as to why you're there and what's going on, but the story is told better through visualization in Limbo. In Toby the Secret Mine, outside of occasionally seeing an enemy run off the screen, we don't really see or learn anything about our surroundings, but in Limbo, each area adds more and more to the story and to the mystery. As we move through each level, the usage of other colors outside of black, white, and gray vary with the type of environment we're in, i.e. a forest, a desert, or a snowy tundra. This is a stark contrast to Limbo, where it starts and stays with that black, white, and gray palette, making each and every level feel dark and dangerous. In contrast, Toby the Secret Mine starts off with a beautiful green hue coming from behind the trees and moves us through several different types of environments that simply don't make sense. One moment I'm in a torrential downpour, and the next I'm in a desert. How do I as the character go from such a drastic change in such a short amount of time? Well, that shows some of the differences between the two games. There are far more similarities. In both games, the character is almost visually identical. The levels themselves are laid out very similarly, and both games use a trial-by-error approach, and you will die multiple times in succession, and sometimes still not even know what had killed you. In both games, some puzzles simply aren't very intuitive. They require multiple deaths before that aha moment, and sometimes it's just luck that gets you past it. Fortunately, the checkpoints are very generous, and you will start very close to where you died. And, as an additional bonus, if you rescued anyone prior to dying, they stay rescued on your next attempt or attempts to solve that puzzle. There are far fewer traps in Toby the Secret Mine compared to Limbo. Many of them are very similar to each other, but one huge difference is that when your character is killed in Limbo, the deaths are much more gruesome. The puzzles of Limbo are almost strictly environmentally based, where you have to use the objects around you to continue. Some of the puzzles in Toby the Secret Mine simply don't make any sense in the area that they're found. One example is a large stone wheel that requires you to press 3 specific buttons with a symbol on each of them. This comes less than about 30 seconds after you've seen all 3 symbols in rapid succession. Not only does it not make sense for a random puzzle to be there, but also why would these symbols be painted on signs? It's almost insultingly simple. It could have been improved with another puzzle that must be solved in order to find a symbol, or perhaps 2 pieces of material must be put together to identify one of the symbols. One commonality between both games not only affects puzzles, but just normal gameplay, and that is that some platforms that look as if they're part of the foreground and can be used are actually part of the background, and you'll find yourself falling to your death because of it. One thing that does stand out for me is the music and the environmental noises in Toby the Secret Mine are far better than they are in Limbo. I felt that the sound design was superb. For instance, the second area, a rainstorm, it sounds amazing, sounds like a real rainstorm. But some of the sound design was also implemented into gameplay traversal. There are some areas that require the player to hear a specific sound to clue them in on where to go next. Some wooden platforms, when walked over, loudly creak. Jumping on them once or twice can cause them to break, leading us into the next area. This brings us to accessibility. What if I can't hear? If I'm designing a game that uses sound cues for progression, I should add some way for the player to see what to do next. Perhaps an option to see these wooden planks glow, or some other visual cue to identify it. A simple option to turn on or off the assistants wouldn't affect gameplay and allows for far more people to enjoy it. From start to finish with no guide, it took me roughly 2.5 hours to beat. Trying to complete the game as quickly as possible while writing notes and giving the game its fair due ended up causing me to die a lot. Overall, I died 249 times and was able to rescue 23 of my 26 friends. The main menu also has the option for you to pick which level you'd like to start at, assuming you've already beaten that level, of course. This is good if you're trying to snag any friends you didn't find in your first playthrough, or if you're a speedrunner and you want to practice those particular sections over and over again. I didn't have many major issues that were game-breaking, except the elevator immediately before the final level. If you trigger the elevator, jump off, and go beneath it, you're stuck. It's the one area of the game that actually needs that instant spikes. A quick disclaimer, this review is not a paid endorsement, and I did not receive a free code for this game. All in all, I would give this 6 out of 10 bytes. And thank you everyone, that concludes our first episode. Until next time, this has been Byte Size Review.